here. I'm still going to enjoy doing this with or without you. All right. Here we go. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Good morning. Happy Saturday. I'm Andy, a.k.a. producer, by the way, or producer BTW on Twitter. You might know this show. It's called Cafe BTW. So for anyone that's live, thank you for stopping by. And for anyone that's on VOD right now, thanks for watching. I just wanted to say that, we are now being consistent again. I had a lot of kind of family things pop up that didn't allow me to be as consistent as I wanted to. We did have our first guest back last week. And I do have some exciting news. Next month, we're going to have two guests. One guest is going to be focused on music, which is kind of like a side of gaming and retro gaming that we haven't really delved into, believe it or not, with all the other episodes and all the episodes I've done on the show. So it's kind of nice to have someone that's more in tune with gaming and music. I must be honest, I am not the biggest music person. Now, I grew up in the mid-'90s when music was great. I was a big fan of punk hardcore scene and stuff like that. But today, I feel like music has evolved in a really weird way. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that in a way that personally, it's not become something where I sought out artists and I just kind of listen to chill hop, lo-fi music, study music as they call it. I want to, though, appreciate gaming music. Oh, I need a juicy way to spend these channel points. You better spend those channel points, Biff. And thanks, dude, for stopping by. I'm so glad, by the way, you've been enjoying the, what is that game called? The blacksmith game that I gave you. We will have a game to give away at the end of the show today. I don't know if we're going to be playing Stream Racer. If we have enough people, we will. I would like to play it only if we have enough people, but we are giving a game away. But just wanted to say we're going to be doing also an episode with a very good friend of mine that's coming on the show, and she's going to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons and the evolution of Dungeons and Dragons and how that's evolved. And I'm really excited about that because that's something nostalgic that is still very popular, maybe even more so in the mainstream than it's ever been because of Twitch streaming and all the Dungeons and Dragons games that you see. But today's show is going to be about the history of online gaming from my perspective. Now, I'm not going to be, I'm not going to walk through every single moment of online gaming. What I am going to do for you is walk through my experience of living through the console generation because obviously I skew older, and I've been lucky to live from 2600 all the way to today. So I have a really good perspective on the evolution of online gaming, or at least this perspective of online gaming from my point of view. So that being said, there's a few things I want to talk about at the top of the show. I love that you beard Xbox Live. I mean, I have a beard. Do you mean beta tested Xbox Live? Yes. I do have a beard. Did that throw you off, Biff, when you said that? Did you think did it throw you off because you saw my beard? That's right, Biff. We are going to be talking about that today. I'm going to give you a lot more in-depth experience from the beta testing and how it all went down because it's a really interesting story. So I can't wait to get to that part of the show. I do want to talk at the top because, I was complaining about Cyberpunk so much. Hold on, let me lower that. I was definitely... I just wanted to I want to end the conversation on Cyberpunk for me, and I want everyone to know this is a retrospective, nostalgic podcast. But what I like to do, what I love to do is kind of touch on anything current that's happening. So Cyberpunk for me is a game that I'm playing right now. I just beat it last night, finally. I kind of have a relief from it. And, I posted a couple of bugs that happened to me. Now, one thing that really bothered me about this game was that it crashed on me at least once every playthrough. And that is not the way I should be playing video games. You do not want to buy a game and then every time you play it, there's going to be a crash. When there's a crash in a game, you might lose save stuff. So when I started playing Cyberpunk, I was saving all the time. I used to take film production back in the day in college, and my professor told me always be saving, and he means when you're doing editing projects, always be saving, because you never know when the computer's going to crash, you never know when you might lose a rollback or whatnot. Nice. I was very much a part of the early online gaming. Nice, Biff. Nice. We're going to be very particular about the online gaming we talk about today, but I do want to talk about beating Cyberpunk. I feel good that I finally beat it. You know, you can continue playing the game after the fact, but I really lost interest after the fact because, I mean, I tried to hold out. I had the last story mission just waiting for me, because what happens is when you get to the last story mission, it actually tells you that, hey, you know, this is the end of the game. The rest of the story is going to be, you know, kind of be linear. So if you want to continue playing the open world, you're going to have to skip, you know, not do the final mission. So I did the final mission. I beat it. I feel relief, but now a little disappointed. I wasn't really, my overall experience with Cyberpunk, I don't know. Is it a good game? Yeah, but the fact that it crashed every freaking, the fact that it crashed every playthrough really pissed me off. And I know that the CD Projekt Red leadership came out and officially said, please do not blame the devs. Please do not, blame the artists and all the people that put in the hard work, because I feel really bad for them. The leadership at CD Projekt Red pushed out this game way too soon. That's a big mistake. And I just wanted to talk about, hey, what's up, Astral? Welcome. Good to see you, my friend. And I love using my channel points. I'll have to upgrade and figure out all my channel point stuffs. But bottom line is, that's it for me. Until there's another update to Cyberpunk multiplayer, I'm not going to touch the game. I'm so over it. Also, there's one other topic that I think is very important to talk about that happened this week. So a Spanish streamer named Greg, I don't know how he pronounces it, killed the viewership records on Twitch. This guy went and shattered the records. He had a Fortnite skin released in the game, and he was doing his announcement stream, and 2.5 million people watched his stream, people. That's one single person had 2.5 million people watching his stream. And the reason why I wanted to just talk about that before we get into the rest of the show is because this is unprecedented stuff. You know, there's TV shows that don't get those records. There's sporting events that do not get those records. And the fact that a streamer, and everyone says Fortnite's a dead game. Yeah, right. Not when you're getting 2.5 million viewership for the release of a skin. So stop it with Fortnite bullshit. You know, I don't play Fortnite anymore, but I appreciate what that game is. And when you got stuff like this happening where this guy just gets on stream and 2.5 million people are watching him, you know, I'm lucky to get 0.0001% of that. I mean, I probably do. So I just want everyone to know how important this is for the overall growth of what streaming has become. Because 2.5 million viewers is nothing to laugh at. It is nothing to scoff at. It means that Twitch and live streaming is kind of the future of how humans take in live content. Now, YouTube has VODing down to the science, but Twitch has live streaming down to a science. And I predict, and you can quote me on this stream, that one day, quote me, one day somebody's going to have 1 trillion viewers on one single stream. And I predict that happening in about 10 years, and I could be wrong. I think the next big step for that is at 100 million viewers. And once you get to 100 million viewers, that trillion mark is not unheard of. Now, you guys are probably like, Andy, how can someone get 1 trillion viewers on their stream? Well, you can ask the same question. How the hell does someone get 2.5 million viewers on one stream? Just think about this. And that's why I also wanted to remind people that, yes, this is a retro podcast, but I always want to make sure that I talk about current topics at the very beginning of the show. And if anyone had not heard about this happening, this is so monumentally important for the growth of live streaming. I'm live streaming right now. I'm doing my podcast. You know, I used to podcast and do like iTunes and SoundCloud and spend the time editing and yada, blah, blah, blah. But I said, screw it. I'm going to do my podcast for 1 hour every week, and then it's going to go to VOD, and then I could clip from there. Because I decided to pivot my podcast and follow a modern run, like to do something to make the podcast more modern. And I did. I'm here with you guys live. If you're on the VOD, thank you so much. But this has been so much better than doing the podcast on iTunes, recording, and then having to come back and like upload it and this and that. I'm so sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired of wasting my time. So live streaming has been the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I know there's a lot of people in chat that live stream as well. You know, I can call out my buddy Genzo Chicken, who, you know, I don't see him live streaming much, but when the Nintendo NES Lego came out, he built it on stream. I actually had him on my stream at the same time. Shout out to Genzo, everybody in chat. Genzo, can you shout out yourself? Thank you. But I just wanted to talk about this because it's so monumentally important. So I hope you guys take a look at this wonderful streamer who wasn't even American, which also shows you how important and strong the international streaming market is, and that America is not the only place where amazing things are happening in the streaming community. How vain to shout myself out. I'm not, you're the mod, so you shout your damn self out, all right? Because I appreciate you, man. You've been here since the beginning. So it's not vain if I'm telling you to do it. I appreciate your time, man. And quickly, TikTok, I am live on Twitch, so hit that link. You could head over to my Twitch channel right now. We're live. We're going to be talking about online gaming. But anyway, did want to talk about Cyberpunk. I did want to talk about Greg here, who broke 2.5 million viewerships, and how important it was and is to the history of streaming, because we're going to look back on this, and I quote, "We will one day have 1 trillion viewers on a live stream." Quote me. All right, let's get into some history. I want to talk about when I was growing up first. You know, my dad, hold on, Biff says, for scale, 1 million seconds is 12 days. 1 billion seconds is 31 years. 1 trillion seconds is 31,688 years. I don't see 1 trillion views anytime soon unless we go intergalactic, unless we already are. I didn't say anytime soon, Biff. I said one day. So now we have me quoting it on stream that one day, and I said 10 years from now, that's realistic, but that's what's crazy. I didn't think anyone would reach 2.5 million, yet I turn on Twitter and I see everyone talking about it, and there it is, 2.5 million viewers on a stream. That's ridiculous. Anyway, today's topic for the retrospective stuff, today's really important topic, which I really have a close tie to my heart because it really reminds me of my childhood playing video games. And, you know, I had the Atari 2600 and I experienced the NES. I experienced the TurboGrafx 16, the Super NES, the Mega Drive Genesis, the 3DX, the Sega CD, the Sega Saturn, the Dreamcast, the original PS1, the Xbox 360. The rest is history. So in that path, we eventually got online gaming. Now, I'm going to be more focused on the console side, but I'm also going to talk about the PC side. So my experience, and I couldn't find any clips of it, was my dad, you see, he was a podiatrist in New York City. And one thing I wanted to just mention about a really interesting moment I had with him, and if you guys want to check down, you know, my dad passed away, unfortunately, from a terrible cancer, but he's probably the most motivating guy in my life. There's a picture of him on my channel below, and there's a link out to support Stand Up to Cancer if you'd like. But my dad was very forward-thinking. So he had this kind of franchise podiatry group called Penn Podiatry in New York City. My dad had 7 offices in the 80s and early 90s. And I remember walking in one day because my dad was always into computers. You know, we had computers in my house from the very beginning. And this is a time before like you could really like walk into a computer store, and I think we need to rebuild the population, things considered. True. So I just wanted to, this isn't online gaming, but it's online banking. I walked into my dad's office one day and I saw him doing something on his computer. And I said, Dad, why are you dialing in? And he goes, I'm sending money over to my bank account. I said, what? Wait, what did you say, Dad? He says, yeah, I'm sending money from this bank account to the next. Because believe it or not, Citibank was the first online banking that was available. And my dad had it in New York City. He could sign up through a dial-up modem and transfer funds, which was unheard of. And to me, I was like, whoa, you can transfer money online? I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. And then my dad had this guy who built computers back then. And I remember getting our first like real PC kind of, and we had it in our den in our old house. And there was Sierra, if you might remember, Sierra was a famous video game company that made some wonderful games. And they had something called Sierra Online where you could actually log in to a service, which is unheard of. You logged into a service, right? I miss Sierra too. You logged into a service and you could play these multiplayer games. And to be honest, that was the first time I ever saw an avatar, because the game made you make a cartoon character of yourself. And there were these like, there was this town hall, and for the life of me, I couldn't find videos of it on YouTube unless I was looking it up wrong. But I remember making an avatar of myself back in like the early 90s. I think it was the early 90s. And today that's like normal, you know, but I didn't know what an avatar was. And I would play this game called Booger, which was kind of like a chess game with like boogers. And it was really great. And you would play other people and you would type. And I remember there were like other avatars and other people. And for the life of me, you know, I didn't understand the implications of that. But today, I really look back on it and realize I was playing online multiplayer games back, you know, before a lot of people even knew what they were. And I didn't really appreciate it until later. But that was my first like memory, right, of playing online multiplayer games. Now, the game that really stood out for me, did you have an online personal? What do you mean an online personal? I don't remember Persona. No. I mean, it was like just put your name. I don't think it was a persona. I think because back then you didn't really think of usernames. I think it was just Andy, you know, like Andy, cool. Like, I don't know. I was like Andy or something. I can't tell you what my name was. I might have had an avatar. It really wasn't until America Online came out that I thought about making a screen name. So I think my name was Andy, to be honest with you. So really glad that I had that experience and that I got to be a part of like very early online. Now let's get into gaming. What game stood out to me younger that allowed me to play multiplayer? And that's simple. One of my favorite games of all time was Diablo 2, but I played Diablo 1 online. And I remember my dad's apartment in this town called Hackensack, New Jersey. My dad lived in Hackensack, and my parents were divorced, so every weekend I'd go to my dad's, and me and my brother would sit in our bedroom and play hours of online Diablo 1. And what was funny about it was there wasn't a lot of like control to it. So you could like be in the town in Diablo and you'd run into someone and be like, and this is what I would do. I know it's so evil. I'd be like, hey, you want to go dungeon crawl with me? And the person would type, yes, let's go. And then I'd go into the dungeon and then I'd kill them and take all of their stuff. And then I'd resurrect them and kill them again. But that was when I was just being bad. But when I was good, I would dungeon crawl with random strangers back on Diablo. And it really it really was amazing. I remember trying to do Diablo Online co-op. Yeah, I'm talking about it right now, Genzo. I was doing it, and I loved it. And I had one single friend that was also playing Diablo. So it would be me, my brother, and my friend, and we dungeon crawl. And I believe you could play up to 4 people in a dungeon together. And you could meet people in the town, just like any other online multiplayer game. Where they'd be like in Destiny, for instance, they have the tower, and stuff like that. And I always think that Destiny took a card from Diablo, because Diablo had the town where there'd be the blacksmith and the potions person and all that. Genzo says, friends and I had a slightly hard time getting connection locked. Genzo, I don't know why I didn't, but we were online, we were playing. And then when Diablo 2 came out, things really progressed. And the online multiplayer was better. It was late internet. It was dial-up, but maybe, I know you're from the Northeast, but my dad skewed a little. My dad he was well-to-do back then. So he always wanted to have the most state-of-the-art computers and stuff. So when I went to my dad's on the weekend, I was able to do that, which was the best. And like this game really speaks to me because it reminds me of really my first true online gaming experience. So, thanks, Dad, wherever you are, because really my dad is the reason I got into video games. And the funny thing is my dad hated video games, but he bought us games, right? Even though my dad hated them and didn't really understand them, he bought them for us. And that's a good dad. So rest in peace, Pop. After Diablo, and remember, this is my memories of online gaming. Counter-Strike had been created through a mod on Half-Life. So, and I wasn't competitive. I was terrible at these, but I remember finding out through maybe bulletin boards or online boards how to make Counter-Strike, the mod, playable through Half-Life. So another game that has to be appreciated for online gaming back in the early days, in the 90s or the early 2000s, whatever it was, I don't even remember. I'm just going by my memory, guys. Was Counter-Strike, the mod. And it was the first time I even thought of a mod. Like, what is a mod? Like, what is that? What does that mean? And really, Counter-Strike was fun, and I think back then it was competitive, but it wasn't like it is today where, I can't even play Counter-Strike anymore because I suck at it. I've never been a good first-person shooter. Unreal Tournament is a good one, too, for sure. I played a little bit of it. I thought Unreal Tournament was, way too fast-paced for me. I just could not keep up with that game. That game was way too fast-paced. But the thing that was cool about Counter-Strike, and should be noted, is that it was a mod. And it was a mod in one of my favorite game series of all time, and that was, of course, Half-Life. And, it was really a phenomenal achievement in video games because, this game is still being played today. CSGO is a huge part of the esports community. I remember going to LAN cafes to play Counter-Strike, of course. We would play, and I remember I was... let's see, what year was it? I remember I would play in my college dorm room a lot. But that was later. I think I played it again. I still play CS 10-year coin, baby. Nice. So yeah, you can't forget about that. Now, going over to the consoles, Sega actually created what's called Sega Channel. It was a project, and I'll read this verbatim. Sega Channel was a project developed by Sega for the Sega Mega Drive video game console, completely revolutionary at the time of the release. And the Sega Channel service offered across the globe by various providers, though the most notable, well-remembered, was a service provided in North America. Traditionally, to gain access to Sega Channel, customers would pay for a monthly subscription. Unheard of at the time, but today it's normal. In return, be given unlimited access to a specific amount of video games. And I think I have a little kind of view of what Sega Channel looked like. And you got to give Sega credit for really, thinking outside the box and like, how can we, and this is a really cool GIF or graphic that they did. And I don't think a lot of people remember this. And I think it's important because obviously I'm a big retro fan and collector, that it's good to remember that the consoles were trying to do this. Now, obviously on a Mega Drive, I don't know how fast the connection was back then. And I don't think consoles really had the capacity and the CPU power to handle online gaming back then. Because like on a computer, it was different back then because computers were really much stronger. And I mean, they still are today. I mean, shit, people are building like $10,000 computers. I remember needing to have cable in order to get it. I didn't have cable TV. Yes, it did hook in through a coaxial, which is normal today because, your cable internet still hooks in through that. 1 second. TikTok says, what's your favorite retro sport game? NBA 2K. What's Earthworm Jim's fighting game? I'm not sure, but if you want to check out the Twitch podcast, we're live right now. Hit the link in my TikTok profile and head over to the Twitch channel and come join us. So gotta mention Sega Channel. Personally, a friend of mine had it. This very wealthy kid. I mean, so I had this neighbor who had the original Double Dragon arcade machine, and this is in the freaking 80s. To think that you had an arcade cabinet meant you were rich. Like if you ever saw the TV show Silver Spoon about the kid that was really rich and had all this cool stuff, my neighbor was that kid. So I was very lucky to experience a lot of things because the kid just got whatever he wanted. I even experienced the Laserdisc for the first time through him. Now moving up the chain to things that I remember is that Dreamcast, and this is a really cool story, Dreamcast had online functionality as well. It was still dial-up, but what's really cool about this is that I was sitting in my dorm room in Boston at a school I went to, which I ended up failing out of because I partied too much and I didn't pay attention. We'd be like smoking pot in my dorm room, playing video games. But that's how old I am. My console in my dorm room was the Dreamcast, okay? But the dial-up in my dorm room was so good because back then they didn't have firewalls and they didn't have all this stuff. They didn't think that people were like doing stuff. Hey, Andy, how's life, man? Hey, man, welcome to the podcast, KLN. Really appreciate having you. Just getting going, man. We're in the middle of it. Welcome. So I played NBA, my favorite football series of all time, rest in peace. I was playing this in my dorm room online, and I would play people one-on-one. I remember that the dial-up connection was pretty darn good at my school. And like I said, because back then they didn't have security firewalls. Like I had Napster running like crazy. Me and my roommate, and I'm going to tell you guys, like back then I smoked cigarettes. I was a college kid. We'd be sitting in my smoking dorm room where you could smoke cigarettes in the dorm room. I don't think you could do that anymore. And we'd be downloading Napster music all day long because I had the first time I ever had experienced Ethernet. And there were no firewalls. There were nothing. I was just ripping songs like it was nobody's business. And then things like Scour Exchange came out and I was downloading videos. Man, that was the life. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I don't, please don't smoke cigarettes. It's been many years since I smoked cigarettes, but it's just kind of that visual of me sitting in a dorm room in the year 2000 playing Dreamcast, downloading Napster music. There's something nostalgic about that, I suppose. So that's one really, really cool part of my online history. So, I'm a big sports fan. So being able to play NFL football in my dorm room on a Dreamcast was really fantastic. So one memory I have for sure that I'll never forget. Moving along, Xbox came out and Halo came out. And if you remember on the original Xbox, it had an Ethernet port. And there was actually a way to play 16-player multiplayer Halo 1 through your Xbox console through something called Xbox Connect. Now, I don't know if this is the original Xbox Connect, but I remember my friends like, Andy, how do we do that? I'm like, let me figure it out. So back then, you didn't really have Google, you didn't have that, but there was these bulletin boards for gaming, and it walked me through how to set up Halo for online multiplayer. So my friends would sit in my friend's basement and so you'd have to have a computer also connected to the same home internet. So you'd have the original Xbox connected in Ethernet, and you'd have your computer at home connected online. And there was something called Xbox Connect, and it had lobbies of servers that you would be able to jump into. And even the great thing about it was you could have your friends who also were playing console at home with you. So it'd be like me and 3 others. They'd be able to be brought into the online multiplayer, and we'd be playing Capture the Flag multiplayer on the original Xbox, 16 people multiplayer Capture the Flag matches, and it was fantastic. It was amazing. You couldn't, though. One thing you couldn't do was chat. You just got into a match through the computer. You'd click it, and then somehow the Xbox had the functionality to read that and put you into a lobby of Halo through your original Xbox. And I know a lot of people out there probably didn't experience that, but man, playing the original Halo online was so much fun. And yeah, it had leaderboards and everything. And this is stuff that people didn't really think about. And I'm sure a lot of people had the original Xbox and had no idea that you could do this. So I thought online multiplayer Halo on a console on the original run was so freaking fantastic. Yes, I did play NBA 2K8. I still have it, actually. And just so everyone on Twitch knows, I'm live on TikTok as well. So you could always check out a different perspective of my beard from TikTok. And everyone on TikTok, we're live on Twitch right now doing the podcast. So hit that link in my profile and stop over. Give me a follow. Support us over on Twitch, and really appreciate you guys stopping by on the TikTok stream as well. Genzo says, right after high school, a friend had a cottage in the middle of nowhere, and we brought 2 and 3 Xbox LANs, and together like a group of friends. Yeah, well, LAN multiplayer, that's not online multiplayer, though. That's playing a LAN, which was common for multiplayer. Totally still playing together on a system online, but we were literally connecting through the internet when there was no internet gaming service. There's no Xbox Live, which I'll get to in a second. Of course I played the original Doom. And what's up, Get Off Amy Lawn? Welcome to the channel. Appreciate having you. Remember, if you're new to the podcast here on Twitch, please give me a follow. Help support this very small podcast. We've been doing it for quite some time, but really great to have you guys here. So thank you so much for stopping by. So moving on from Halo, the next thing that is very important to talk about, and I hope that you guys can hear this, is the release of Xbox Live. So this is where I have a really great story that I got to beta test the original Xbox Live. I beta tested Xbox Live, and I'll tell you that story. Let's see if we can watch this original Xbox Live trailer. It's about 2 minutes, and I want us to watch it together. Let me know if you don't hear it. I hope you guys hear it.
I just got into Xbox Live. I have this really great high-speed connection, and I was playing one-on-one NFL Fever against some other players from around the country. My gamer tag, my online ID is Dark Master. I was masking my voice. You can use your real voice, or you can pick from a list of voices. I was just being friendly. I mean, I'm not one of those game guys that gets totally absorbed, Taste it! Yeah!
That's gotta hurt.
You want some more? Oh, you like that, do you?
Watch me go. Oh yeah, everybody goes down.
Yeah, the original audio is terrible. Sorry.
The highest score in the country. Master! Actually, I think there was one other person that was above me. I mean, hey, it was no big deal.
Oh, I don't think so.
So I decided it'd be fun to contact this guy and challenge him.
All right, how about it, Crusher?
My name's Master. I'm Crusher. We'll see who gets crushed, Crusher.
The kick is away.
So this is your first kind of start to what is online gaming. Obviously, is online gaming back? So to Xbox, online gaming was, man, this guy's room is really dirty. I mean, shit, can he pick up his stuff, or his parents are going to be really pissed off, right? I just want to look at this. I mean, I guess I was like that too, I guess, but not that bad. But this is kind of depicting what an online gamer would be like in the future, and it's very realistic. But what they were talking about is like gamer tags, and that's very important, is the whole gamer tag. Now, you're probably wondering, how did I beta test Xbox Live? Well, oh my God, this is really funny. What's really cool is that my brother was an IT guy, and he was very progressive with computers. You know, I'd go into his room and he'd have like whatever the hell they were back then. He'd have computers everywhere, monitors, servers, Ethernet ports, whatever it was. And I know Genzo, shout out to Genzo, who's in IT, I believe, our mod here in chat. And this is when DSL first came out. And my brother throws the door open and says, Andy, we have DSL now. And I'm like, what the hell is that? He's like, it's faster internet, and we could play things online a little bit faster, and our connection's going to be better. I'm like, okay, great. So then on a bulletin board or on the Xbox, because Xbox had just come out, maybe it was out for a while, and there was a posting, I still remember to this day, would you like to beta test our... Oh, dude, get off my lawn. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for stopping by and being part of the Cafe BTW. We appreciate you. So that being said, there was a post. It says, would you like to beta test the new online service for Xbox? And I said, yeah. But what it said is you have to have DSL. So the reason I was lucky is because they weren't letting anyone use it. You had to have high-speed internet. In my area in North New Jersey, I grew up in Bergen County outside New York City, had DSL available in my area. So when I sent it asked you questions like, do you have DSL? Do you own an Xbox? And lo and behold, like a week later, I got an email to a link to ship me my starter kit. And the starter kit included, and I do have a video of that so I can show you what the starter kit included. So the starter kit looked like this, and this guy posted a video, and it had a microphone, it had a CD. So let me skip through so we can see the insides. Here it is. So it had NFL Fever for free. It had you see this here? This was how you connect it to your controller. And then, of course, it had a headset. And it also came with like an orange memory card. And when I first signed on and started playing, and by the way, I played a ton of NFL Fever on the original Xbox Live. It was fantastic. Now, I had already been playing online gaming on a PC, but the fact that I was on a console talking to people on a headset, and I remember the kind of conversations I would have is like, this is great. I can't believe we're talking. Where are you from? Where am I from? And also I want to be cognizant of the fact that I think that Xbox really got me thinking about gamer tags. And that's when, I think Biff mentioned, what was your like gamer tag on Sierra Online and stuff. This is really, you had your screen name on AOL and whatnot, but this is really where I started to think about your gamer tag or your online persona. What was your name? And I think, believe it or not, my original Xbox Live beta name was OSW 420. Yes, I was a marijuana enthusiast back then. I might still be, because I live in California. But my name was, and OSW stands for Only Stag's Way, which is my last name, and that's another story for another time. But 420 being, obviously, that I changed that eventually because I didn't want to be associated with, and a lot of those early screen names, some people had the 420 thing going on. So that was funny. But, the fact that I was in 2002 playing the beta of Xbox Live was so cool. And another thing to kind of keep in mind on that is I was about I had a 4-month lead. I think it was 4 to 5 month lead on the actual release of Xbox Live. So I was grandfathered in, and I was given like almost a year free of the service because they ended up doing they ended up charging you for the service. So thanks for the gifts, guys, on TikTok. Really appreciate it. Stop by the stream on Twitch if you'd like. Really appreciate the gift. Thank you so much. So this was a fun story, and I'm really glad to have been a part of the NFL. I mean the beta testing of Xbox Live. I did post a video. If you want to click my TikTok link here on Twitch, there's a really cool video that shows one of the starter kits. It's not the original beta starter kit. I unfortunately don't know if I have that anymore. But man, being a part of Xbox Live beta, I'm really proud of that because I got to, and then just so you know, I had to write a survey every week. Every week I had to fill out a survey for Xbox and let them know how things are going. So it was very interactive with Xbox, and it was a very early time for online gaming on consoles. And, you know, the rest was history, really. Now, not to forget an honorable mention to some other games is Everquest 2 was a game that I played heavily online. And I don't know if a lot of you have a memory of Everquest, but I can't talk about online gaming without mentioning that I played a shit ton of Everquest, and it was definitely a fun and fantastic version of the game. So it was kind of, Everquest was a tough game to play. Not always the best, but I wasn't really a big fan of Everquest, but I played it. I remember my friend built me a computer so that I could handle it, and it was fun while it lasted, but, you know, I can't go on talking about online gaming without mentioning that I played EverQuest 2 online. And then after that, there's obviously a game that you can't forget, and that's Starcraft. I was terrible at these games too, but again, Starcraft was another game that can't be forgotten as an early multiplayer game. And then you can't forget World of Warcraft, the original World of Warcraft, not the open world World of Warcraft, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But a lot of memories here with these early online games, and they just hit home. And I really, really, really miss the nostalgia of it, because if you think about today, where video game online gaming has gone, there's so many good sides of it, but there's a lot of bad sides of it. And there were bad sides of it back then, but if you think about it, I really wish we never got into a trolley side where people would really be mean to people. If you heard a girl on stream, they would start screaming. Not on stream, on chat. You know, it really brought out the worst in people, and it also brought out the best in people. And the worst in people, you know, I was never, ever in the troll camp online. And I'm really proud of that because I'm a good human. And people tend to take advantage of using online personas and hiding who they really are to be someone else. And that's still a major problem today, and that causes a lot of mental health issues. So, unfortunately, there became a negative side to online gaming that really wasn't appreciated, and I still to this day hate hearing the awful things that how people treat, you know, certain women on online gaming. I hate the way they treat just someone that's not good and really are mean to them. You know, League of Legends is a good example of a very toxic community, even though the game has hundreds and thousands of amazing people playing it, with also people that just aren't nice. Like sometimes there's people that just started playing something, yet they'll be mean to you. And I really wish gaming never had that side, but it's really unfortunate that it does, and it still is a major problem today. I like to think that it's getting a lot better, because back then there was no mods. There was Xbox Live was a mess. Now, Xbox Live Beta to me was clean and fun, and everyone that was a part of that were really nice. I never really had a bad experience. But, you know, I remember playing like online sport games though later on, and you would hear the other guy on the mic cursing you out if you scored a touchdown against them, or you would hear them. I remember I heard this guy throw his controller and scream and tell me like these awful things. So we can't talk about online gaming without mentioning the really dark side of it. And I guess I didn't really dive into that too much, but I really, really wish there wasn't that side. Because me personally, I'm a non-judgmental person. I have always had an open arm to anybody. I don't see people by the color of their skin. I don't see people by who they are, how they act. I appreciate us all as humans, and I've always been supportive and great with online gameplay and playing with others and strangers. Now, I will say with friends, you could pick on your friends. They're your friends. That's a part of that, right? You're allowed to fight with your friends and smack talk your friends, like Genzo said here. But the fact that strangers, that really affected mental health, and that's been a serious problem. And I wish that was not a part of this culture. Anyway, moving into some happier thoughts. One game I can't go without mentioning is the original Warcraft, so I played the original World of Warcraft. I played it for hours on end. I left World of Warcraft after Burning Crusade, which was the first expansion. So that gives you an idea how long ago it was. And this is the first time I started using like a TeamSpeak or a Mumble. Oh, nice. So Genzo beta tested. Wow. But so I joined a clan or a guild. I forget what do we call them, Genzo? We call them guilds or clans? I forget. It was guilds, right? I joined this really famous guild, and they helped me like level up my character. And that was the first time I was using like a mic and headset through a program on the computer like TeamSpeak or Mumble. And when I get to Minecraft, I'll talk about Mumble. I only played WoW after South Park episode. Hey, Mr. Flight, welcome to the show, man. Good to see you, bud. I'll give it up for Mr. Flight. He made it. He flew in. He flew it in. And Biff says, but before BC, so I only played WoW after. I played in the beginning, and I left right after I leveled up in Burning Crusade, and I never looked back because you know why? Back then I was working, and I would stand at work all day. And this is when I was working in sales. I was in electronic sales at Sears while I was going to college in Florida. And I would sit at work, and all I could think about in my head was, I got to level up. I got to get home. I got to level up. And I even remember one time being so drunk one night, just sitting there on my computer running in World of Warcraft after a party I went to. I had to get back on World of Warcraft. It was very addictive. And also what should be noted is it had a subscription. And those were the early days where putting a subscription service and paying a monthly fee for a video game service was kind of weird. And it was kind of unheard of, but I did it. And now today, that's like every day. And, Xbox Live, PSN, charging like wazoo prices. But that was the WoW life, like Mr. Flight said. Oh, nice. A lot of people like to make breakfast while they listen to my show. I really appreciate that. We had Genzo Chicken was making waffles earlier. How were the waffles, Genzo? I hope they were delicious. It was a lifestyle, and it was fun, but it was too addictive. And you know what's really funny? I remember my roommate at the time was also playing WoW, and me and him would be screaming at each other like, all right, I'm going this way. Where are you going? And he'd be screaming in his room to me because, we were we were playing Warcraft, but we were screaming to each other from our other rooms. And man, I do miss that. It was a lot of fun. And shout out to Nick Dossman, who's my very good friend still to this day. He's a writer for Nickelodeon now. And me and him would play World of Warcraft back in the day in South Florida. Sitting in that, when it was the hot of the summer, we'd be stuck in that nice air conditioning playing World of Warcraft. But it really got too addictive for me, and I had to quit cold turkey. And when I quit cold turkey, that was it. I never looked back. And when WoW Classic came out, I almost bought it, but I was like, no freaking way. I'm going back to that. Genzo says, midway through beta, I knew the game was tons better with friends to play, and once it went live, I couldn't convince people to play and gave up 2 to 3 months after. Well, Genzo, if we were friends back then, I would have been playing with you. I was in a really big guild, so there was always someone to play with, and I had some really good guild members that helped me level up and get through things, so definitely was a good time. I do miss that, and I can't talk about online multiplayer without mentioning World of Warcraft. But the problem was the early addiction of online gaming. The feel of being addicted was really not fun because I was not paying attention in school. I was doing terrible at work because I would just want to get home. And so I worked at the mall, and my apartment was behind the mall, and I would literally go to lunch, and I only had a half an hour lunch, but I would run to my apartment, jump on for 20 minutes, and then run back to work. that's how crazy it was. It was just like such a nightmare of an addiction that when I quit cold turkey, I was so freaking happy I did. Now, one thing I should mention is that, we talked about Xbox Live. And I think that when the Xbox 360 and this was the updated Xbox 360, the black one, when the Xbox 360 came out, that's when I really started to see online console gaming really take off. The Xbox Live interface for the original Xbox 360 was pretty darn good. Jensen says, people were like, why should I pay for the game twice? It's stupid. No, you're right, man. You're right. Hold on, let me see. Xbox 360, Xbox Live dashboard. Let's see if there's a video of this. Yeah, here it is. Let's see. I really liked the original Xbox 360 dashboard. It was really cool. But this is kind of where, when the 360 came out, that's where I really think console gaming hit its stride with online gaming. And believe it or not, the first time I streamed Netflix was on Xbox 360. And a lot of people don't know that one of the first places you can stream Netflix was on the Xbox 360. And me and my roommate at the time, we actually were so broke in LA that he slept on my floor in my own bedroom because he moved out. So Nick, who was my World of Warcraft buddy, wanted to move to LA. I said, you can come out here, pay me like a couple $100. I'll let you sleep on my fucking floor. That's how LA was back then because, it was very expensive. It still is. And we were broke. I was just a PA in the feature world making really bad money. But we would sit and watch the Netflix bar load for a movie we wanted to watch. And it would literally take 15 minutes for the Netflix bar to load and finally view it. And me and him were watching online Netflix before people really took it seriously. And there were like no good movies available. I remember there being absolutely no good movies available. But something to note is the original. I wonder if there's a video of that. Netflix. Let's see. So I was also pioneering the original Netflix on the original Xbox Live. And I think this is the later version of it, though. Might be. But it was so slow. It was just so slow. But once you got the movie loaded, you hope to God it wouldn't freeze, and you hope to God your Xbox wouldn't crash. But the fact that me and him were sitting there watching movies live on a streaming service through a video game console was also something to note. Now, we're getting towards the end of the show. Wow, I really talked a lot today. I have to talk about one of my favorite games of all time. I was an alpha beta tester for Minecraft. I want to play the original Minecraft trailer, and then I want to talk a little bit to this before we get out of here today. So let's play the original trailer for Minecraft. This was the original Minecraft trailer that came out in December 6th, 2011. And this has 150 million views now. But back then, my brother's like, you got to play this game. It's this online game where you build things. And I was like, okay. And I remember seeing this trailer and being like, what the hell is this? So let's watch it together.
Let's go to a place where everything is made of blocks. Where the only limit is your imagination. Let's go wherever you want to go. Climb the tallest mountains. Venture down to the darkest caves. Build anything you want. Day or night, rain or shine. Because this is the most significant sandbox you'll ever set foot in. Build a majestic castle. Invent a new machine. Or take a ride on a roller coaster. Play with friends. Build your own little community. Protect yourself with the strongest armor that you can craft. And fight off the dangers of the night. No one can tell you what you can or cannot do, with no rules to follow. This adventure, it's up to you.
So Minecraft comes out, and my brother bought me the gifted alpha, and the rest was history. I literally logged into Minecraft without knowing a goddamn thing. I saw this trailer, and I remember still to this day, I joined a server, and they're still around today. They were one of the original nerd.nu. See if they're still one of the original multiplayer online servers called nerd.nu, and we used a chat server called Mumble, which is probably a very Jurassic version of Slack and whatnot. I actually think that Mumble should be appreciated as one of the early types of Discords and Slacks. We'd jump onto the nerd Mumble, and we would build towns together. And what was really fun about the beta of Minecraft was that it was like all older people. It was just adults. It didn't become like a kids game and a popular mainstream game till it was officially released. And the fact that I went to a Walmart in the future and saw a poster, if you would have told me when I was beta testing Minecraft that there'd be posters and creeper dolls and all that, I would have laughed at you. I said, why? I mean, this is just like some building game that me and the server are playing on. Jenza says, I remember first playing, and the only thing I knew was the first night was dangerous. Yes. I do have some photos. Let me see if I can find them from my original Minecraft server. Let me find them. Oldest. I know I have them somewhere here. Here they are. So this is I think the third rev of Minecraft. That's me in front of my really weird house in the early days of Minecraft. And we built this city called Newcastle. And it was a server of 50 people building a single town. And this was King Philet. And you know what my job was? I was the land person. So when a new person would come into our server and want to get their own plot, I would tour them around the city and say, you can have this plot, you can have this plot, you can have that plot, and you have to build with this on the outside of your building. You can't use this. And I was just in charge of plots for what was called Wolf District. And man, it was such a community. And these are all the people. And I actually one day ran around taking photos of people in front of their homes on the original beta server. And I still to this day think this is just like such a classic look at what Minecraft was like. And these are all the people on our server in front of their homes. And there were some great builds, man. I will never forget the nerd.nu stuff. And this is really where online gaming I love this guy's name, Sega Saturn 95. Such a good guy, because Sega Saturn came out in 95. This guy was cool. But this is like some history here. And I remember posting this to Reddit, and this blew up and got like 150,000 views. I think today it's still got a lot of views. It still hits home. These are some of my friends. These are just like really important people in my online gaming life that I spent hours with building a beautiful city. And it's a shame that, Minecraft it's not a shame that it became such a big deal, but I really think that it should be looked at as like such a monumentous online experience that I'll never forget. And these people are part of that. And look at all these wonderful people. Actually, this is Ox, who is my neighbor. My house is right here, and you can get a good look at the Wolf District. It was well built. It was beautiful. And this is kind of like all of us just hanging out. I miss all these people. And, a few of these people became my real life friends. And that attributes to what online gaming can do for you. Online gaming can make you friends. As we talked about earlier, that it could destroy people and be a really bad place to really make people sad. There's really some magic to be had with online gaming and what online gaming can do. And right now, the fact that I'm talking to you guys online, streaming, that's part of the evolution of online gaming. And, to think that I'm here talking to you directly, I would have never imagined this when I was back playing Diablo 1 multiplayer. I would have never thought I'd be on a podcast talking directly to humans about my experience. So I hope that you all enjoyed today's show. We're coming to an end. We're almost at 9 o'clock here on the East Coast. I want to say that I do have a game to give away, but I don't know if I'm going to give it away today. Just because we kind of came to a close here, so I might give it away on Twitter actually, because I'm feeling heavy-hearted right now. My experience of this is probably one of my favorite episodes I've ever had. So I don't want to do Stream Racer. I don't want to do that. I just want to raid someone and end the show. And I just want to say that I think that this was one of the most emotional episodes, that I didn't think I would be this emotional. Thinking about like my experience through the ages, and I won't trade that for the world. So I want to thank everyone that was new here that stopped by. If you want to check out the podcast, we come back next Saturday, and you're not too late, my friend. We have the VOD going up shortly, so check out the VOD. It's available, the full episode. Thanks, Biff. Thanks, Get Off My Lawn. I'm going to raid a very good friend of mine. She's a real-life friend, and she's a great streamer, a wonderful person, and I've raided her before. So let me get that ready, and let's give her some love. She's Pal. She's been streaming for a year, and her growth has been fantastic, and I want to continue to support her. So with that said, we'll see you next week. We have some guests coming on the show soon. I'm super excited, and really, really appreciate everyone that stopped by today. This was really an emotional one. Have a good weekend, everybody. Let's give her some love. She is awesome, and she is playing Word Game in chat. All right, guys. Till next time, I'll see you next week. Remember, the VOD is available, and I want to thank everyone that's watched the show later on VOD. Thank you so much, because you guys are important too. You know, I do this show live, but really, it's not always meant to be watched live. So if you want to turn it on later, that's what the VOD is for. So again, thanks, everyone. Remember, be safe out there. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. And I love you. See you later. Let's give her some love, everyone. We're going in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See y'all.